Greetings, crafters. It's Julie Creek from Creek Bank Creations. I'm here today to talk to you and share with you some tips and tricks about our Skinny Dippin' mini album. We're going to go over construction on the front of the album. I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks. And we are also going to talk about the ribbon lock die. So later on in this video, we will get to the ribbon lock die. We are working with the Skinny Dippin' mini album program. If you're not familiar with it, I have posted several other videos. I'm going to be building an album with the Summer Lovin' kit from Simple Stories, and we will be using this album as a drop-in page album. So if you're not familiar with our program, you can go watch my video how to add drop-in pages to our album, and I will put that down in the comments section below and the description of this video. For this particular album, we are going to decorate with the Simple Stories Summer Lovin' collection, and we will have this collection on our website. Today is May the 13th. We will be stocking this at trade shows and online until it sells out. The collection is the paper collection, the ephemera, and the chipboard frames, and we are selling it all as one unit. I will be shooting various videos as we go through this album to show you how I put it together, and then at the end we will do a drive-through where I go through the whole entire album. So if you're interested in this collection, you can check our website out, creekbankcreations.com. I want to share with you when I have a collection how I go about deciding how I'm going to decorate the album, and I just want to impart some knowledge to you. So the first thing I do is look at the ephemera and the chipboard frames and see if there's anything that like really jumps out at me out of the collections, out of these pieces. And the piece that really jumped out at me when I looked at the collection, move this off, was that Summer Lovin' piece. Really nice. So we're going to set that aside. And I'm going to look through the ephemera and the paper and see if there's anything there I really like. So this collection starts with a nice 12 by 12 sticker. And just all I'm doing is looking to see what really grabs my eye that I really like, and I'm going to set it aside. So I'm going to go through all the papers. I'm going to look at both the fronts and the backs and see, is there a piece of paper that would really look nice on the outside or on the inside covers? So just flip through them, and then you'll also have a basic understanding of what the papers are that are in your collection. And I'm going to set that aside. And it'll give you a feel for the kind of colors that are in the collection. What kind of cardstock colors do you think you might want to add? So go through there. And then I look at my pieces that I've laid aside. Now, I don't see anything here that like has a scene on it to use on the front or the back cover. But what caught my eye was this little piece here. I think I want to highlight that later in the album. So I want to mark this piece of paper so that I don't cut into it. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to put a sticky note on the back side. The sunshine is on that other side. So later, if I go cutting into it, I don't cut into that. I'm going to save that because I want to use it later. Now this piece of paper caught my eye. I love it. And if I think about putting it on a front of an album, the issue is that this paper is 12 inches wide and my album is longer than 12 inches. So I won't be able to use it unless I want to put one on the back and one on the front and then have a break where the spine is. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to save it for my inside pocket right here. So that's the nice thing about going through the collection on the before you start cutting into the paper is what's in there and what do I want to do with it. So I'm going to mark this front and back, inside pocket, so when I get to that point later, I don't accidentally cut cut into this paper. Now we still haven't tackled what are we going to do with the front of this album. So what I do is go back through the paper collection. I take out the pieces that I marked, and I'm looking for a smaller pattern that I could put on this album, and then I'm going to build layers on top of. So I'm just looking through here. Is there something that catches my eye? Do I want to put a stripe on it? Do I want flowers? What do I want to do? So I'm going to look through this, and I really like this because remember I pulled off that chipboard frame that had all those colors in it. So I'm going to use this right here for my front cover. Now, what I really wanted to impart to you is about cutting the paper for your album. If we mat the pattern paper on cardstock, we can have the cardstock mat our paper, and we will be able to cover the entire album. And you can see I've already cut this one. The front, the spine, and the back out of one piece of paper. Okay, so in order to do that, you're going to need 2 sheets of the solid cardstock, and you're going to cut 2 at 6.25 by 8.25 and 1 at 1.75. Then we're going to cut the pattern paper, this paper back here, 2 at 6 by 8 and 1 at 1.5 by 8. Now, there's a specific way this has to be done. So I have a scrap piece of paper here, and I'm going to pull it up and show you how I cut it. I'm going to take my paper and put it in my paper trimmer so that the 8-inch piece is over here, right on that 8-inch line, and I'm going to cut. I designed this album specifically so that you could cut a piece of scrapbook paper and get 2 pieces out of it. I'm going to rotate that paper and line it up on the 6-inch mark over here and cut. That just gave me the 2 pieces I need for the front that are 6 by 8. And now we need that smaller piece for the spine. So we're going to take that piece that we had, we're going to put it back in the trimmer, and we're going to cut at 8 inches. Then we will rotate the paper to 1.5 inches and die cut and cut. And that will give us the 3 pieces that we need out of 1 piece of pattern paper to cover our spine. So I have cut my pattern paper and I've cut my cardstock for the mat, and I'm ready to adhere them to the album. When I build this album, I start thinking in the very beginning, do I want to have a ribbon closure on it? Do I want to have a magnet belly band that comes over the front? Do I want to put a handle on it, a little knob or a pull? What do I want to do with the front of this album? Because if I'm doing that, I need to do that and plan with my front cover in mind so that I have that taken care of. For this particular album, I am going to add a ribbon closure, so I'm going to use the ribbon lock die, and we want to put that on first. At the time of this filming, May 13th, 2022, the ribbon lock die is a part of the Pocket Page die system. So when you purchase the Pocket Page, you will find this die in that set. We are in the process right now of having this manufactured by itself with some magnet sticker dies, and that'll be available probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Currently, in order to get this die, you have to have the Pocket Page system, which is difficult for this particular application because we're making a drop-in page album. which means if we make the drop-in page album, we don't need the pocket page die. So that is why we've pulled this die out, and soon we will have it into production by itself, the ribbon lock die, so that you can use it on any mini album. And I'm going to show you how to use it. So you're going to take a scrap piece of paper, and then what we're going to do is take our super tacky tape, and we are going to unroll it, and you can use the 3-inch tape or the 6-inch tape for this. Put your paper in the tape and trim it out. And when you trim it, you want to make sure there is no adhesive left on the edges. So there we go. So we have paper on the front and sticker on the back. Now I have a little piece of my paper right there that doesn't have tape. So I'm going to trim that off because we want to make sure that every part of this has tape on it. We're going to take our die, we're going to put it face down in the paper, and we're going to run it through the die cut machine. When it comes out of the die cut machine, I will have this piece, and we are going to pull the tape liner off the back. And then we're going to take our ribbon, and I usually cut mine rather long. This is probably 12 inches because I don't want to get it too short. I'd rather be long than short. Now, I am going to start from the sticky side, put my ribbon in. So the sticky side is on this side, over the top with no sticker, and then back to the back with. I'm going to pull that ribbon so that it's not hanging off the end, and I will push it down. And I have installed one piece of ribbon into the ribbon lock die, and I need to do that twice. So I have my 2 ribbon locks, I have my ribbon in them, and I want to show you how I install this on the front of the album. I have a jig that I've cut on orange cardstock, and I store this with the die. And what I want to do is mark just about maybe 3/4, let's go an inch in from the outside. You can adjust this to your liking, but let's do an inch. And then we want to measure the center point of the album. This album's 8.5 inches long, so we know that 4.25 is the center point. We're going to mark that. And we want to do that on the front and the back exactly the same way. This will have our ribbon coming out of the album at the right place so that it's lined up in the middle. Okay, we marked the front and the back. Now we're going to take that jig and we're going to set it right on top. And you'll see there's a notch in the die, and that notch is meant to sit right down over where those 2 pieces, you've got a cross there, where they come together. And then you can trace the corners on your album with your pencil. And then set your ribbon lock right in that place. And now you know the front and back will be exactly centered. Everything will be adhered very nicely. We're going to do the same thing over here. Center that over that cross. Mark the corners so we have a nice clean placement. And set that in. And now we have the ribbon coming out at the exact same place, and we are ready to adhere our front on our album. I recommend that you adhere the front papers on the album with liquid adhesive, and I'm going to use the art glitter glue, and you can find art glitter glue with the steel nozzle and the bottle Bauble, which are accessories, on our website. So I'm going to adhere these to the album. I want to show you I have a lot of adhesive right where that album ribbon lock die is sitting, because I want really good, strong adhesion for that. So I'm going to flip that over and place it right on my album, and that will be my front cover. Then I just need to add the remaining covers. Now, if my corners this way are straight, I know the rest of the album will be straight as well. So I have all three of the covers adhered to my album. And if you remember from earlier, I said I really like this frame, Summer 11, that I wanted to use. And you can see it does not fit on my album. So I looked at the other frames in the set, and I really like this frame, but I really like the Summer 11. So I'm going to show you what I did. I took my craft scissors and I cut the frame. So I took my craft scissors and I cut this into 2 pieces. This will enable me to be able to lay that up on my album and have that look so that it actually fits on my album. Now, this has a specific diagonal pattern on it, so I'm going to trim this to cut right on that diagonal line so that it's not hanging over the edge. And you can see I can literally cut that chipboard frame with my scissors. Now, I really like this piece that I wanted to add in there. So what I want to think about is, what else do I want to stick on there for accents? And I really liked these pieces of ephemera. I pulled out some ephemera from the ephemera kit. We're going to layer these up here. Hello, summer. Who doesn't love summer? And how about a squirt gun? Okay, right out here. Awesome. So I'm just going to work at building this. Now, what I need to figure out is, what am I going to put in that frame? And so I went through the 3x4 cards and looked at the card stock, and I found a sentiment here that works really well within that frame. So I will trim that and add that to my frame, and now I have a really awesome front cover for my album. So I'm going to adhere all of that together. Now, when I go to adhere this, I have a chipboard piece back here, and I have this chipboard piece down here. I might just like crank that off to the side. But what I have is my chipboard frame's getting caught on this piece. So I think what I'm going to do is end up layering this. And what I wanted to show you was, I have those little pieces of chipboard that I cut off earlier that they were too long. And in the areas where I need lift, I can adhere those to the back of the frame so that my frame will sit square on that other piece of chipboard. So as I'm looking at my album, I am thinking that I have a lot going on up here at the top with this Hello Summer, and I'm not so sure that I need another sentiment. So what I am going to do, I remembered, because I looked through this earlier, that the sun was on the sticker sheet, and that will make a great element to stick up there at the top. I can tuck it in the back, or I can stick it on top. So what I want to show you is, when I have a sticker that I want to add to a project and I don't need the sticky back, I am going to take that and trace that on a piece of cardstock. Just very gently around that outside edge, I'm going to trace, and then I'm going to cut it out. And in this case, I'm actually going to add tape to this paper because I want some stability. So I'm going to take the super tacky tape. I'm going to put the paper in the tape and trim it out. So I have just a piece of cardstock, tape on the back. I'm going to pull off the liner, and I am going to adhere that to the paper. And then I'm going to cut on the inside of that line. And it doesn't have to be exactly, but I want to get pretty close because I want to stabilize that sticker. Once I have it cut out, I will place my sticker on there. And now I can adhere that to my album. So what we have is a very happy, fun, bright album cover, which was exactly the look I was going for. I did add a very little piece of chipboard back here behind the sun because that's hanging off of the frame, and so I felt like it needed support. So I got into my chipboard frames and I cut off little pieces. I actually stuck a little piece back over here as well. So find a frame that you think you're not going to use, and then you can use that for lift because it is the same height as your other chipboard pieces. I also added some flowers down here at the bottom off of the flower sticker, which I thought was a really nice accent. So we have a very colorful album. Thank you for joining me for this video. I will be producing more videos with this album as I go through the various dies. So look for our other videos, and you can find these products on our website, www.creekbankcreations.com.